Welcome to Wastewater 101, a series of videos designed for health department professionals engaged in wastewater surveillance work and interested in learning more about wastewater and what their utility partners do. This is part 6, Who Works in the Wastewater Sector? I'm Anna Marotra, Director of the Wastewater Surveillance Program at the Water Environment Federation, or WEF. And I should note that development and production of this material was made possible through funding from the US CDC to WEF under Cooperative Agreement CK20-2003. And this material is solely the responsibility of WEF and does not necessarily represent the official position of CDC. So just a reminder that wastewater utilities exist to collect wastewater and then treat it to achieve permit limits designed to protect human health and aquatic life before discharging the clean water into receiving waters such as streams, rivers, lakes, and coastal waters. And we talked about collection systems back in part 2, treatment processes back in part 3, and permits and permit limits back in part 4. So this collection and treatment is done by infrastructure, but it is people who manage and operate that infrastructure. Specifically, people focused on 3 general categories of activities. First, maintaining and upgrading infrastructure. Second, ensuring efficient and safe system operation. And third, demonstrating compliance with a discharge permit. That is, does the clean water being discharged have contaminant concentrations that are lower than the permit limits? So I want to talk a little bit more about each of these general categories of activities. So when it comes to maintaining and upgrading infrastructure, this can involve the specific tasks listed here, such as cleaning equipment, pipelines, and tanks, doing emergency repairs, managing infrastructure upgrades, performing electrical work, performing routine equipment maintenance, replacing equipment and pipe sections, using vector trucks and hoses, and working inside lift stations, manholes, and tanks. And these are just some examples of the tasks involved in maintaining and upgrading infrastructure. There are certainly others. And then when it comes to ensuring efficient and safe system operation, this can include tasks like adjusting chemical dose rates, adjusting motor speeds, adjusting valves, billing, sending bills to the ratepayers, collecting process control data, inspecting equipment, managing chemical deliveries, and monitoring SCADA, that's supervisory control and data acquisition systems, or other control systems that keep track of how the system equipment is functioning and how well the treatment process is working and things like that. Again, this is not meant to be an exhaustive list of all the tasks in this category. And with respect to demonstrating permit compliance, this can include tasks like collecting samples at different places in the collection system and along the treatment process train, running analyses on those samples in an on-site lab, or sending those samples off-site to an outside lab for analysis, and certainly maintaining that on-site lab. It can also include filling out monitoring report forms. And that's what's shown here in this image. It's just a hard copy of a blank discharge monitoring report, or DMR, from the EPA website. And a DMR, sometimes they're called FMRs, but it's something that needs to be filled out on a monthly basis, usually. Most of the time, these are submitted electronically, but this is generally what they look like. Other tasks can include reviewing draft permits. Permits are renewed every 5 years, and there's a specific permit renewal process that the utility needs to be involved in. And then finally, the utility also might need to respond to inquiries from the permitting authority. Again, not an exhaustive list of tasks for this category, but the idea that I wanted to convey with these last 3 slides is that there are a lot of different things that have to be done to keep a collection system and a wastewater treatment plant operating and operating well. And obviously, these tasks are done by people, usually a number of people who fill specific roles, such as the roles shown here. accountants, collection system operators, controllers, customer service representatives, electricians, engineers, geographic information system specialists or GIS specialists, human resources specialists, laboratory technicians, lawyers, machinists, managers, plumbers, procurement specialists, public affairs specialists, regulatory affairs specialists, treatment system operators, vehicle maintenance specialists, and others. Now, in large utilities, there may be multiple people who fill each of these roles. But in a small system, there may be just one or two people responsible for everything. Here's an example of what an org chart might look like for a large utility. This is the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority in Eastern Massachusetts, and this org chart is taken directly from their website at mwra.com. And you can see that there is both a board of directors and an advisory board that guide a large staff led by an executive director. And those staff members are organized across multiple divisions, from the executive office to operations, law, finance, and administration. And then under operations, you see there's an engineering and construction division, a field operations division, a wastewater treatment division, and a laboratory services division. And all told, all the staff and all of these divisions number about 1,200. So there's a lot of people filling a lot of different roles. And here's an example of what an org chart might look like for a small system, specifically two small systems. There might just be one person, a licensed operator, who oversees two or more wastewater systems at a time. So vastly different than a large utility. It's just helpful to keep in mind that utilities can be quite different in terms of the number of staff and the roles that those staff play. So when it comes to coordinating with the utility for a wastewater surveillance program, you'd ideally have a single point of contact at that utility. But that single point of contact might be in communication with many more people, depending on the size of the utility. This is an example that was shared by Kaylin Patterson from the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, or MWRD, at the 2023 Wastewater Disease Surveillance Summit. And in each row on this table is an MWRD department. So the first column contains the name of the department. The second column shows the number of people or positions in each department who are kept in the loop about what's going on with the wastewater surveillance program, such as when sample locations change or the frequency of sample collection changes. And the third column contains descriptions of the roles that these people who are being kept in the loop are playing in the wastewater surveillance program. And you can see then that it is a mind-blowing 120 people that need to be kept in the communication loop about the program. At a smaller utility, of course, this number could be much lower, even as low as 1. So if we want to know exactly how many people work in the wastewater sector, that gets a little tricky. I can only offer you 2 numbers related to that topic. The first is 119,350. This is the number, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, of people who were employed as water or wastewater treatment plant or system operators as of May 2022. The second number I can offer you is 478,700. That's the number of people employed in industries related to water utilities, including local government utilities, both water and energy utilities, water, sewage, and other systems, and water and sewer system construction as of December 2016, which is also according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, but comes from a Government Accountability Office document. So that second number is probably an overestimate because it captures both water and energy utilities. But the first number only relates to operators, albeit both water and wastewater operators. And so maybe an underestimate, right? Because there are many more roles, as we've seen, in the wastewater profession than the operator role. And it's helpful to keep in mind, though, that many operators are licensed as both water and wastewater system operators, especially in small systems. Here are some questions to ask your utility partner about who works in their system. How many operators do you have on staff? How many dedicated lab staff do you have? Do you have any dedicated GIS staff? Who else in your organization should be part of any email communication about our program? And who else in your organization should be part of any ongoing program meetings? And here are some resources related to wastewater professionals. The first two QR codes take you to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and GAO references mentioned earlier in the context of wastewater professional numbers. And the third is a great resource for people interested in working in the water profession, including as a wastewater collections operator and wastewater treatment plant operator or laboratory technician. This was part 6 and the final installment of Wastewater 101, Who Works in the Wastewater Sector? Other parts in this series include part 1, What is wastewater? Part 2, How is wastewater collected? Part 3, How is wastewater treated? Part 4, Where does treated water go? And part 5, How is water quality monitored? Please email nwbe@wef.org if you have any questions about this content or would like us to develop a custom training program for your organization. Thank you so much for tuning in.